Hey guys, welcome to Fabulous Nuts ASMR. This is a special video. It is part of my Christmas series, and I am reading. I did the first 3 books in this story the other night, and book 4 I just had to bring over to the next day. So we were reading Christmas Angel. Before we start the book, it is imperative that we understand a little bit about Victorian times and Victorian England. The book was written in 1886, and it has the hallmarks of a very traditionally written Victorian Christmas story. For us, that means it is not like anything that we consider Christmas because it's a ghost story. Victorian Christmas stories were a very popular tradition centered around the theme of charity, family, goodwill, and social reflection, often taking the form of ghost stories. They blend festive cheer with the supernatural, serving as moral tales and highlighted the social struggles and class inequity of the era. As a popular subgenre that was heavily influenced by the belief that the winter solstice and the Christian season was a time when spirits could more easily cross into the world of the living, a central and beloved aspect of the Victorian Christmas was gathering around the fire on Christmas Eve to tell spooky ghost stories. This tradition was so strong that even today's Christmas songs allude to scary ghost stories and the tales of the glories. The period's long, dark winter nights, lit only by candlelight and firelight, provided the perfect atmosphere for tales of spirits and supernatural. Ghost stories allowed Victorians to safely explore the theme of death, the afterlife, and a longing for something more in a time of rapid technological change and shifting beliefs. The tradition of telling ghost stories at Christmas had roots in its much older pre-Christian winter solstice festivals, which were also seen as the times when the spirit world was more accessible. Many stories, most famously Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, served as a powerful social commentary. They encouraged the wealthy to show generously towards the poor, and reflecting the social change and urban poverty brought on by the Industrial Revolution. The stories helped solidify the idea of Christmas as a family-centered holiday, emphasizing intimate celebrations within the house, a shift from earlier communal feasts. The availability of railways made it easier for people who had moved to cities for work to return to their families, reinforcing this theme. Victorian Christmas stories were rich in descriptions of warm, festive scenes designed to contrast with the cold, dark world outside. They featured imagery that is still familiar today, such as snowy landscape and white Christmas, depictions of abundant rich food, roasted goose or turkey, plum pudding, minced pies, decorations like Christmas trees brilliantly lit with candles, garlands of holly, and a multitude of gifts and toys. In essence, Victorian Christmas stories were a unique blend of heartwarming sentimentality and chilling supernatural elements, reflecting a society grappling with the change and using the holiday season as a time for moral reflection and family togetherness. The story being softly read tonight is A Christmas Angel. It was written in 1886. For part 1 through 3, please go to the live and I will try to link it here. If not, it'll be in the description. Let me give you a short recap of where we are so that you can follow this fourth book, The Divine Legacy. The first book of this series dealt with the death of a beloved young son, a child that was 18 months old and had been a sickly child since birth. Throughout his young life, part of his routine was to go to the public parks, and he had befriended a young, poor orphan girl that was many stations in life lower than him. At the end of the book 1, the child passes away after a long struggle. Thus we begin book 2 with the mourning of the parents and the child being laid to rest. When someone passed away at home, they were laid on the kitchen or dining room and were dressed and anointed with oils and perfumes and left there for the mourners to come until the burial service would take place. So the father describes his son laying in the dining room and how he was finally able to go up and to rest. And once the anticipation of the death had happened, there was a peace and calm that settled over the house. And as the father drifts into a restless sleep, he is eventually awakened by his son, who is standing by his bed and lifts his hand and tells his father, "Follow me." In chapter 3, it is the spirit of the son taking his father to look into the future of an alternative life. The spirit of the young son takes his father's hand and leads him through transition periods as they move forward in time. The father and son come to rest in Pentecost Circle, the very poorest district of London. The son and father are growing up there, and the father remembers the education and feels that all where they're living and what is going on in life is beneath his son. His son's friend that had visited him in the first book is the love of his life, Molka. And Molka and Charlie grow from children to young adults together and then into adulthood. Charlie has stayed in love with Molka, and the father protests that love and feels as if Molka is trying to get between him and his son's love and separate him from his son. The son Charlie says, "Father, you are not allowing me to be happy." So book 4 is the last book in the Dream series. This book is told in a first-person narrative of the father, and it is how he feels about things, and it's also highlighting his wrestling with and changing of how he feels about the classes below him. The first book is very important, for it lays the groundwork for these consecutive books. And we begin book 4 of The Christmas Angel, The Divine Legacy. His heavenly pity for the erring and unfortunate moved me to worship. I look at myself in the class, in the common, mean room I occupy in Mr. Alabaster's house. I was with difficulty that I stood upright. Chill winter was not only upon the city, it was upon me. My hair was quite white. How long had I been ill? When last I saw my dear Charlie, it was summer, and now I could see the snow clinging to the roofs and dripping with the dull thuds upon the pavement. Had months only passed, or had I been years tossing in delirium upon my bed, calling for Charlie and never being blessed with a sight of his beautiful face. If he were not dead, if the visions I had seen in the woods were what I had hoped they were, mere phantasmagoria of a fevered brain, then he should be alive and with me, tending to me as I would have tended to him, giving me some small return for the love I had bestowed upon him, who would enlighten me upon this point, who would relieve me of my aching heart, who but Mr. Alabaster? Turning from the looking glass, I saw him in the room. He led me gently to a chair. "You are yet too weak to be moving," he said, "and you've had a hard fight with death and have conquered him." "How long have I been ill?" I asked faintly. "It was in the summer of last year. You accompanied us on our holiday excursion in the country." In the summer of last year," I repeated in wonder. "You're not mocking me?" "No, there is no room for jest in such a condition and circumstances as yours. Tell me, what has occurred during this year or more?" I made no mention of Charlie yet. I had no courage so suddenly to speak of what was nearest to my heart. "You were brought home late in the night of our holiday excursion, long after we had returned. When the van started back for London, you were not the only one missing. Your son, Charlie." He paused, arrested in his narrative by the convulsive twitch in my face. "A moment," I said with difficulty, speaking with sufficient distinction to be understood. "In mercy, go no further until you relieve my aching heart. My son, does he—" I could not ask the question. My tongue cleaved to the roof of my mouth. "Does he live, you had asked Mr. Alabaster." "Yes, he lives." The joy I felt was swiftly followed by a feeling of terror. Living? Why was he not with me? If he no longer loved or cared for me, would it not be better that he should be dead? Then I could mourn for him in sorrow and in love. As it was, the thought of him brought me nothing but despair. "Shall I go on?" asked Mr. Alabaster. "Are you strong enough to hear what I have to say?" "I do not know, but I must hear it, though it kills me. Does that wretched girl also live?" "Of whom do you speak?" My tongue almost refused to utter her degraded name. "I speak of Molka." "She lives, poor child." Shall I continue now? "Yes, but you must pardon me for any wild words I must speak. When Charlie and I were alone in the woods on that fateful night, I was haunted by terrible fancies. I thought that Charlie and that wretched being who was been his ruin—" "You cried for mercy just now," interrupted Mr. Alabaster sternly. "Be merciful to her as you hope for it yourself. What was your thought of her and your son?" "That they were dead in the river." "Poor Mocha. Such things have been, and alas will be. But as yet she lives. You were not the only one missing. Your son did not return with us, nor did Mocha and her betrayer." "Her betrayer? Ah, that was much of the fancies was true. You appear to exult in it. Beware, or retribution will fall upon you, not for you or for me or any errant mortal to cast a stone. You were brought home alone. By whom? I know not. It was long past midnight when I heard a knock at the door, and upon opening it saw you lying upon the steps. I carried you into the house and into this room which you have not left for the time. You're in a high fever, and you spoke of a bridge, a boat, a river. You uttered imperceptions upon the unfortunate girl's head. You called despairingly for your son. Had it not been for the love I bear him, love inspired by a recognition in him of noble qualities which, unless I'm mistaken, you deem disregarding, had it not been for this, I say I should have carted you out of my house, so strong was my indignation at the cruel words you uttered in respect to Mocha. But for his sake I attended you. Did he not come to me? I asked imploringly. Has he left me all these months to the care of strangers? You shall hear I tended you, not believing you would live. Your condition was so dangerous. A week after you came home, your son appeared and inquired for you. He did not forget me, I exclaimed, the tears gushing to my eyes. He did not forget me. He was hollow-eyed, haggard, emaciated, but in his face the old, sweet beauty reigned, which surely must be indexed into the divine goodness of his nature. I informed him of your state, and thanked him, and he thanked me for my care of you. I led him to your bedside, and as he sat by it and listened to the vile words you uttered against Mocha in your delirium, he shuddered and hid his face, as though he would fain deceive himself with the hope that it was not his father who was so unmerciful. He inquired not only after you, but after Mocha, who had not been seen in the neighborhood since the excursion. It appears that, fearing Blasi would betray her, he leapt from the van when it was discovered that those two had not taken their places with the intention of following them and saving her. You also left the van. I know not what possessed between you and your son, but on that night you were parted. He deserted me for her, I groaned. For the second time he deserted me for her. He searched for her in many places for a week and did not succeed in tracing her. He came back to Pentecost in the hopes that she had returned to her old quarters. She was not here. She was not here. Then he confided to me his determination to discover her, if possible, and if too late to save her, to comfort and console her. It was on the night of his return, when he and I were sitting together in my room below, and you were raving here. On that night, he laid bare his heart, his soul, his mind. I listened with rapturous wonderment. Never in my life had I met with such a being so noble. Never in this world-wide and sorrowful story had been a mortal whose nature was so near to the nature of an angel. His divine compassion for what he calls irresponsible sin, his heavenly pity for the erring and unfortunate, moved me to worship, and there was this in him which distinguished him above all others of whom I have read or heard. He left the other side untouched. He did not condemn the frivolous and careless ones who pass through life, engaged in selfish pursuits of pleasure, squandering hourly in the quest, money, a tenth part of which would bring heaven to many suffering hearts. All the wealth of his good, divine nature was enlisted on the side of erring and the unfortunate. These were typified in one being, Mulka. I will never give up the search, he said to me. I will never relinquish hope till I find her, or till I know she is dead. He asked me to help him, and I promised to do so if he would show me the way. He wished, it appeared, to be satisfied that you would be properly cared for during the period he might find it necessary to be absent from the neighborhood. I have no money to pay you for the task, he said, nor has my father any. If you undertake this, it must be a labor of love and piety. I undertook the task for his sake, not for yours, and have faithfully carried it out. Your son made no allusion to the sentiments you expressed concerning Mulka. He has never uttered a word of reproach against you. And let me tell you that you have never ceased in your riling of an unhappy girl. Your son has sat by your bedside for hours and hours while you have been engaged in pouring your vials of unjust wrath upon her devoted head. It was your son that made you suffer, not the hapless girl. He loved and loves. What has become of her? I asked sullenly. Charlie never ceased his inquiries after her, and followed many a false scent. Here she is in Portsmouth, he said. To Portsmouth he went, returning on the day he appointed, with failure written on his white face. To almost every place where there was soldiers' barracks he went unsuccessfully. How he made his way thither, and in what manner he supported himself, is a mystery to me. I, who am merely penniless myself, could do little to help him, but I doubt if I had been richer than I am, would he have accepted the full assistance I should have offered him. His reply would have been, there are others whose needs are greater, who have claims are more pressing. Help them, I can live on a crust. And indeed, he must have done so most of the time. Last spring, Mulka returned to Pentecost. Charlie was absent, seeking her in another direction. Bold Peggy informed me of her return, and there was a threatening assent in her words, a dark, revengeful look in her eyes, which I saw bode ill for the hapless child. When she came in my shop to tell me that Mulka was in Pentecost, she asked for you. I informed her that you were still in bed, delirious and unconscious of all that had passed around you. Well, she said upon that, if you don't haunt her out of Pentecost, I will. I hate her as much as he does. She is Mulka's sworn enemy, and if she can, will haunt the poor child to her grave. Mulka had taken her soldier from her, she said, and the sentiments she expressed towards her supposed rival were such as could only proceed from a bitterly jealous and disappointed woman. Alarmed for the poor child, I went to her and could scarcely restrain my tears when I beheld her. Such a picture of misery and wretchedness. I, who am used to such pictures, never saw before, and I trust I may never see again. I gave her food. She needed it and ate it greedily. I dare not inquire into her history, but voluntarily, moved by the sympathy I exhibited towards her, she told me a little. Would you have it in pregnant words? Betrayed, deserted, penniless, despairing. Fill up the details for yourself. She has deserved her harvest, I said. Merciless, merciless, murmured Alabaster. But you must settle the account with your soul. I have promised to tell you all I know, and I will do so and leave you, she inquired shriekingly after Charlie. She dared, I cried. She dared, with an intuitive perception that he would not shun and loathe her as her father does, and yet with no desire to thrust herself upon his notice. She asked me timidly to give her some particulars on him, and she spoke, "Restrain your anger," as if he himself were in need of some kind of charity and pity. Pity from such as she! I know her intention. Having lost one lover who had enough of her, threw her off, she was wishing to entangle my boy with her arts. Well, she succeeded. Tell me that, and I feel to overflow my cup of sorrow. It was not so, and you do her a foul wrong. I told her of Charlie, but, fearing to rise false hope, concealed from her how he was suffering for her sake. I said I hoped she would soon see him. She said she hoped so too, and then she burst into a fit of passionate tears and cried, "No, no, I must not see him. I should sink to the earth in shame." I feared then, and what I had since heard has confirmed my fear, that she was about to become a mother. Stop! I will not listen to the words I see hanging from your lips. Spare your reproaches for your expression of triumph, self-vindication. I left her somewhat consoled, and she kissed my hand at parting. A week afterward, Charlie returned, and I told him of Molka and where to find her. He went and came back in deep tribulation. She was gone. Bold Peggy had hunted her away, and she was lost again, to wander through the world, desolate and friendless. I dread to think of what has happened to her. Charlie renewed his effort to discover her with no greater success than he had already met with. 3 days ago he left the house, saying he believed he had a slight clue. It is at his request I have made this disclosure to you. He desired me, if at any time during his absence you should wake in a conscious state from your long delirium, to relate to you all that it has occurred. I have done so, as in plain words as I could command. If you have any questions to ask bearing upon Mocha and your son, ask them briefly and quickly, but there is little sympathy between you and me, and I cannot find the excuse for you that I find for others. You were not born in ignorance and vice. You have exhibited a lack of humanity which shocks me. I decline to argue with you, and I with you. My questions shall be few and short. What has become of Molka's soldier hero? His regiment is in India, and he is with it. Are they married? No. When you expect my son to return, remember that he is my son, and that he owes me both love and duty. Do you not see that? While this woman lives, there is no chance of peace and happiness for him. You are being his friend, as you say you are, so blind as to perceive that his life would be a blessing to him and to me if this woman were removed. How removed? Dead? Yes, dead. He has in him, as you acknowledge, noble qualities. Who should know this better than I, his father, who have watched him from his birth, who, even when he was a babe, hoped and believed that a noble future was before him, a future which this creature has marred and wrecked? Not so. The qualities I perceive in him converge all to one supreme end. rescue of such as Mocha. His pursuit of her has sanctified his life. In his nature, I recognize the true genius of humanity, and when he is called away, our blessed Lord will welcome him with the words, "Well done, true and faithful servant." Chapter 2. The Wanderer. As he left me, strength returned to my weakened frame, and I was able to go into the streets. The winter breeze refreshed me, but the squalor and degradation I saw around me made me glad to get into the wider thoroughfare. The snow on the pavement was whiter there, and I gazed upon it with a sense of pleasure, upon the spires and turrets of the abbey, which shone sharp and distinct in the clear, cold air. I was about to cross the bridge when a woman swung herself in front of me, and I recognized bold Peggy. She had grown bolder and more brazen during my long illness. The beauty which spring brings even into the plainest features was entirely gone. She stood before me, the very embodiment of coarseness. She was comfortably dressed, her feet were well shod, and she had a warm, gaudy colored shawl around her shoulders. She wore no hat or bonnet, but her thick black hair was an abundant protection and covering for her head. Large gilt earrings were in her ears, and a brooch of the same common metal was at her throat. "Ere, I say," she cried, "I've been told old Alabaster looking for ye, and I told me, and you gone out. I got a bit of good news for you. You're looking jolly white, Governor. Your time's up if ever a man was. What's your news? Does it affect me?" "Slightly. Where's Charlie?" "In the country." And I added with sudden hope and anxiety as I turned my face toward the Pentecost, "Have you seen him? Has he returned?" "No," she replied. "I ain't seen him, and I ain't him has come back. But I won't be long afore he's here. I should say, why, he's been following all over the country, and when he hears she's in Pentecost, he'll be after her like a flash of lightning. The last time she came here, I hunted her away and told her if she ever dared to come back again, I'd make the place too hot for her. Well, she's come in spite of me, and I thought perhaps that you'd like to do the job this time. Look here, Governor, she's in love with Charlie. That's what she is, the artful cat." "Of whom are you speaking?" I asked, although I knew what her answer would be before she gave it. "Of who? Why, Mocha, be sure. Who else? I dunno. I ain't seen her myself, but it's all over Pentecost that she come back, and if you don't back her out of this, it'll be worse for everybody. You see," said bold Peggy, with a curious, shamed face, hesitation in her voice. "I got a feeling again that I'd be liking to do her a mischief if I come across her. Not that I'm afraid, not a bit of it, but I've been in trouble, and I give a promise that I'm trying to keep out of it, at least for a little while. That's the reason why I come to you. But if you're too chicken-hearted to take it up, I'll do it myself and chance it, unless I'm mistook. You ate her every bit as much as I do." "You're sure she's in Pentecost?" I asked gloomily. "Certain. I'll tell her where to find her. If you want to know, it's a lodging house on Pine Street, Mrs. Porter, 3 doors from the Pig and Whistle, on the same side of that way, top floor back." "Leave her to me," I said. "You'll have her out of Pentecost, Governor?" "Yes, she must go, and you're much obliged to me for giving her the orifice." "Yes, I'm obliged to you." "Will you stand in a pot for a penny?" "No, I have no money." "All right. I wish her luck, Governor." And away she swung over the bridge towards Kennington. The news she had imparted to me set my blood on fire. Mocha returned to Pentecost in the hope of seeing my boy and dragging him away from me? For what further purpose? It was not to be borne. I would threaten her. If that was useless, I would appeal to her to remove herself forever out of Charlie's reach. I knew a way to touch her heart. I would employ cunning if necessary. At all risk, at all hazards, I would have Charlie from this shameful association. To that end, I was firmly resolved. Chapter 3. It is for you to make the sacrifice. I waited until night. Darkness would best favor my design. Eager as I was to embrace my son, I was grateful that he had not yet returned while Mocha was in Pentecost. At 10 o'clock I ascended the stairs to the lodging in which she had taken refuge. I knocked at the door of her room and received no answer. Turning the handle of the door, I entered. At first I saw nothing, but presently, when my eyes became accustomed to the gloom, I dimly discerned the form of a woman sitting in an uncurtained window. I approached her and laid my hand on her shoulder. She made no movement. I shook her somewhat roughly, for my impression, which proved to be wrong, was that she was aware of my presence and wished to avoid communication with me. She started to her feet with a cry of terror and alarm. "I beg your pardon," she said, "sitting at the I fell asleep. Let me stop tonight, only tonight. Out of pity, I'll go away tomorrow morning. Early, I will. I'll take my oath on it, if you want me to. And if I can get the money to pay you for the night's lodging, you'll have it, true and honest, or I'll die before the night comes again. Don't turn me out in the cold streets. Don't, for God's sakes. You don't answer me. Perhaps you think I ain't got a chance of paying you, but I have, yes I have. Mr. Alabaster may be able to give it to me, and if he can't, there's a young gentleman living there with an art so good." I sternly interrupted her. "You mean Charlie?" I said. "You're Charlie's father," she cried. "Is Charlie with you, sir? I thought it was the landlady came to turn me out. But you'll help me, sir, won't you, for this one night? Oh, but I'm so grateful, so grateful. I'll stop crying in a minute, sir. Is Charlie with you, sir?" "No, he's not with me. I've come alone to speak to you." "Yes, sir," she said. "You don't mind I'm not having a candle? I ain't got a penny to buy one with." "Doesn't matter. We can speak in the dark. It will be better, perhaps." "I don't know about that, sir," she said, and added in the tone of deep pathos, "I am always in the dark, sir, it seems." "You have brought darkness upon yourself," I said coldly, even harshly, "and you are bringing it upon others." She gave utterance in a low moan, wrung from her by a recognition of my want of sympathy for her and her condition, and then she retreated close to the window and stood there with clasped hands. "Yes," I continued, "by your own act, you have brought yourself to shame and degradation." "It's true, sir," she murmured, and unclasped her hands slowly, waved them in feeble despair and bewilderment. "But I was blind, I knew no better. Oh, if I had known, if some good angel had told me and taught me. Yes, sir, to shame and degradation. Oh, my poor art, oh, my poor art. And I repeat to you, you would bring them upon others." "Upon who, sir?" she asked plaintively. Upon me and Charlie. No, no, she cried, beating her hands together. Not upon him, not upon him. Upon him. Had you been good and virtuous girl, you might have been worthy of his love. Had you not been as you are now, you are base and vile. His life might have been the happier for it. She came close to me, and laying her hand timidly upon my arm, said in a low, solemn voice, Did Charlie love me, sir? He did. But doesn't now? She murmured, retreating to the window again. But doesn't now? Oh, could he, being what I am, what you rightly say I am, sir? Oh, if I had known. Better for him, I said, that you had never been born. And for me too, she moaned. And for me too. Better that you were dead than living should ruin his life and mine. I've done that, sir. Have I been so base and wicked as to do that? You have. You have wrecked his past. You are wrecking his future while you are in his path, distracting his thoughts, occupying his heart. Oh, Charlie, it might have been so different if I had been different, if I had been shown the right way. She had sunk to the ground by the window, and the rising moon touched her form with light. While you're doing that, I'll tell you, you're ruining him body and soul, as you yourself are ruined. Is it true? In what way? In what I, his father, am saying, you, if you have any human feeling within you at all, you will have any recognition of the right and wrong, should be as a judge as myself, and should know with direction what you should do to atone for the mischief you have wrought. He cannot rise you to his level. Would you wish to lower him to yours? God forbid, oh God forbid, she cried. Twice has he deserted me for you, and would be ready to do so again. Is this human? What should be more sacred than the love of a child for its parent? I have sacrificed in the world for my son. What kind of work would even you call that which is successful in turning his heart against me? Wicked work, she moaned. Wicked work. As for being poor, I am as poor as you are, and Charlie is in the same condition. Through you, he has led a life of starvation and unhappiness. Through you, I have lain on a sick bed for 18 months, and have been brought nigh unto death. You have truly called, you have worked wicked. Will you complete it, and at last the lives of a father and his son? Or will you undo it, and give Charlie and me a chance at happiness? I will undo it, she said in a hollow voice, rising to her feet. If somebody will tell me how to, for my own self, sir. If you will believe me, I can see now that I've never in my life known what the right way to turn. It is too late to learn now, sir, ain't it? Yes, you are a woman. God help you. Thank you for that, sir. Oh, thank you for that. And she raised her arms to the smoke-dried ceiling and murmured, God, help me. There was a pause of at least a minute, during which I seemed to hear the ticking of the clock, and seemed to hear the words, from life to death I mark the record, from life slowly, surely, where and when I had heard that refrain before. Was it plucked out of the dead past, in which happy days of love and sorrow lay buried? But somebody, it was Mocha who was speaking, somebody must show me how to undo my wicked work. I will show you. It is for you and for you only to act. It is for you to make the sacrifice. You must leave this place tonight and forever. Tonight and forever, she screeched, looking towards the window through which she could see the white snow falling. What wouldn't tomorrow do, sir? Tomorrow may be too late. If Charlie should learn that you are here, all hope would be lost. Oh, it's hard, but I'll keep my promise. Never fear, I'll keep it. Perhaps I'll reckon a bit on my side. By and by, she shuddered and repeated, by and by. When every comes to an end, she stopped and picked up a bundle from a straw mattress on the floor in the corner of the room. I am quite ready, sir. What is that you have in your arms? I asked. She was pressing it to her bosom with a soft cooing of love. It's my baby, sir. A little girl, like I was once. What I am to do with her. Oh, what am I to do with her to prevent her from growing up as bad and wicked as I am? To be better. Wouldn't it too? The shriek that Mocha gave here was so appalling that the current of my blood seemed to be suspended, and I was relieved when she uttered a soft, long, hysterical laugh, followed by a passionate kiss on her baby's face. Poor baby, my light, my love, my dearest dear, she murmured, and then to me, you mustn't mind, sir, I'm terribly weak, and I can't help pitying my baby, 'cause I got no milk to give her. But that's nobody's business but ours, isn't it, baby? Hush, hush, my sweet, Martha will do the best she can for you. The knowledge that she had a baby, that this added shame was hers, intensified my anxiety that she should leave the neighborhood without delay. I threw open the door. Yes, sir, I'm coming, said Mocha, and she crept after me down the stairs, through the street door, into the street. There was no person visible but ourselves. The snow had driven them into their house or familiar haunts. Unobserved, we walked along the narrow streets into the broader avenues. We paused on the outskirts of the bridge. The only man in sight was a policeman, walking slowly along, beating his hands together for warmth. Charlie mustn't be told, sir, the road I'm taking, said Mocha. No, I said, he must not know. But you must, sir. I'm going over the bridge. Hush, baby, hush. She feels cold, and she must be ready to die of hunger. Poor dear. I'm going over the bridge into the country, never to come back. Good night, sir. Forgive me for all the harm I've done. I nodded, and she moved away. Before she was halfway across the bridge, her figure was no longer visible to me. It was lost in the snow, which was now falling heavily. Chapter 4. In remembrance of Charlie. Had I yielded to Mocha's entreat to allow her to sleep the night in Pentecost, I would have been too late, for on the following morning, some days earlier than he was expected, Charlie returned. He had returned in haste, and the stains of travel were upon him. Charlie, I cried, opening my arms to him. My son, my dear son. He kissed me and took my hands. I'm not surprised to see you up, Father, he said. It was revealed to me on my way home. His eyes traveled wishfully around the room. Are you glad, Charlie? I am glad, Father. But revealed to you on your way home? My dear lad, I exclaimed, surely your hope, which you speak of as knowledge, must have sprung from your desire to see me well. No, Father, it was revealed to me, as other things were revealed. Will you remain with me, Charlie? Will you not leave me again? I cannot say. A strange event in my life is approaching. I do not know what it is, but it will either bring happiness into my life, or... He did not finish the sentence. Happiness will soon be ours, Charlie. I, your father, can tell you as much. He gazed at me with inquiring, penetrating look. Oh, Charlie, I said, drawing him closer to me, there are such signs of suffering in your face that my heart bleeds for you. He smiled brightly upon me and said, yes, I have suffered, but joy and peace will soon be mine in this world and in the next. If the one fond desire of my heart is gratified. Why do you hold me so tight, Father? I have business out and I must go. Oh, Charlie, I entreated, I also have suffered for more than a year. No intelligible words of affection have passed between us. I have been as one dead to the world. Now that we have met once more in love, can you not spare a few more minutes? Do not leave me so soon, my child. Stay a while with me, my sweet child. Stay yet a little while. I will stay a little while, he said. I strove to win his confidence with all the fond arts at my command. I strove to indulge upon him, to open his heart to me, but he was strange in his communications. He said nothing of himself. A few words he uttered referred solely to my long sickness. He did not speak of his weary wanderings. He did not reproach me for the harsh terms in which I had raved of Milka during my long delirium. And the girl's name was not mentioned by him or by me. He spoke briefly of Mr. Alabaster and called him a noble man. Why? Philanthropic? He has told me his story, Father, Charlie said. There have been few worthier. He will receive his reward, as will all who are not dead in the cries of suffering humanity. At noon, he said he wished to go, and perceiving that he was bent upon it, I no longer endeavored to prevent him. I did not inquire what his errand was, being indeed fearful of doing so, nor did he volunteer to enlighten me. You will not be away long, Charlie. You will return before night? Either before or during the night, Father. I shall not go to bed before you come home. Very well, Father. I shall be sure to be with you sometime before midnight. There was no lack of tenderness in his tone, nor could I truthfully say that the material evidence of affliction had been absent in him during our interview, but I was painfully conscious after he left me of a weakening of the spiritual bond between us. I had tried to argue myself out of this impression, but it remained with me to torture me, and I could not banish it from my mind. The afternoon passed, and the evening night fell. I remained in my room the whole weary time, afraid if I went out, even for a few minutes, that Charlie would return during my absence, and that we might miss each other, I could hear the great bell plainly in my room, and I blessed each quarter of an hour that it proclaimed and waited patiently for the next 6 o'clock, dark night. But this is scarcely correct, for a white shroud was upon the house and street. 7 o'clock. Would he ever come back? I paced the room to and fro in agony of suspense. 8 o'clock, and still he was not here. I shut my eyes in the endeavor to cheat time. Of a few minutes, and when I opened them, I uttered a cry of joy, for Charlie had returned. I had not heard him ascend the stairs or open the door, but he was with me again. That was enough. He sunk into the chair and rested his head upon his hands, shading his face so that I could not see it. "You're tired, Charlie." He uttered no sound, made no movement. "You are tired, my dear lad," I said again, my hand upon his shoulder. "You must have long, long rest." Then he removed his hand and gazed steadily at me, and white and woe-worn face, his eyes with a nameless horror was shining. I discovered all, Father. The same horror in his voice was in his eyes, and with a note of such exquisite, pathetic reproach in it that every fiber of my being quivered at the sound. It was as though he, my son, had pronounced me guilty. I summoned all my fortitude and courage. "You speak of Molka?" I said. "Yes, of her. You might have told me this morning that she had been here, but how could you? How could you when you knew that you had driven her to her grave?" "What I did, Charlie," I said doggedly, "I did for the best." He threw open the window, and the snow rolled in the room. It was such a night as this, and she was penniless, starving, despairing. Look out upon the cruel, desolate streets, and when you say that what you did was for the best, find your answer there. The hope of my heart that would have brought peace and joy to my soul, here and hereafter, was to save Molka from the fate to which you have driven her. You have destroyed that hope, and in destroying her, you destroyed us. What more he would have said, I was mercilessly spared by the sound of irregular, heavy steps upon the stairs. They stopped at the landing outside of my room, the door of which was opened without a ceremony. A policeman stood upon the threshold. "I came upon duty," he said, "and I called upon you to answer my questions. It is known that you, and only you, can put me on the track of a woman of the name of Molka who was in the Pentecost last night. You knew she was in the neighborhood?" "Answer him, Father," said Charlie, stepping up to my side and taking my hand. "Yes, I knew she was here." "You visited her? At what hour?" "At 10 o'clock. "How long were you with her?" "An hour or more. I cannot be sure of the minutes." "Was she alone, or had she a baby with her?" "She had a baby with her." "Her own baby?" "So she said." There was a convulsive movement in Charlie's figure, but he did not lose my hand. "Was the woman in want?" "Yes." "Did she sleep at the Pentecost last night?" "No." "She left the house with you, it is known?" "Yes, she left the house with me." "Before she left, did she make use of any particular words in reference to her baby?" was silent till Charlie said, "Answer him, Father, for my sake." She asked more of herself than of me, what she could do to prevent her baby growing up as bad and as wicked as she was herself. And later on she said, addressing the babe, "Mother will do the best she can for you." When she left the house, which road did she take? Towards Westminster. She crossed the bridge. You accompanied her that far? Yes. Did she say anything before you left her? Anything particular as to where she was going? She said she was going over the bridge into the country, never, never to come back. Might it be happen from anything else she said to you that you could guide us to the road? In the impalatable air there rose before me a spectral shadow of the unfortunate girl beckoning me on, and I answered the spirit. And I answered, spirit compelled. Yes, it might happen so. Then I must trouble you to come at once. We must track this woman without delay. And we found her. Yes, I said mechanically, taking up his words. And when we found her, she will have to answer to the law for the life of her baby, which was found dead in the river early this morning, having been in the water some hours. Charlie's tears rained down upon my hand and gently impelled me from the house into snow-clad streets. The spectral shadow was before me and beckoning me on. "We'll follow you, sir," said the policeman. And then I saw that he was not alone. 2 other policemen had been in waiting for us, and the 3 followed Charlie and me over the silent roads, past the old abbey, over the bridge, at the end of which we paused. "She must have gone down the steps here," said the policeman, "and laid the baby quietly down in the water at this point. Let us go on, sir." My steps were spiritually directed, and I walked on, Charlie's hands in mine. The streets disappeared. We were on country roads. No sound disturbed the white silence of the night. Our feet sank into the soft snow, and we trod our way noiselessly onward. No word was spoken, but Charlie's tears still fell upon my hand. By that sign and by that convulsion, by that sign and by the convulsive pressure of his fingers, did I know that my son, guilty as I was, had not deserted me again. And the soft snow fell upon the fields, upon the hedges, upon the lanes, upon the trees whose naked branches were frigid with white beauty. The land was clothed in purity. The eternal lamps were lit in the heaven and shone upon with a sweet piety. And in the distance rose the outline of a church, which in the summer must have been glorified with lovely flowers. We drew near to it, nearer, nearer, with lovely trees which formed the walls were silver with snow, as was the porch which lay full in the light of the moon and stars. But the dark shadow was stretched across the porch. The spectral figure which had led me on disappeared as we stepped within a half-dozen yards of the church. Then, with a sudden movement, Charlie slipped his hand from mine and ran towards the figure and raised his face towards the light. It was Mocha, dead within the holy sanctuary. Charlie rose to his feet, throwing up his arms with a desperate cry, fell upon Charlie rose to his feet and, throwing up his arms with a despairing cry, fell prone upon the body of the girl. The policeman stooped and tried to lift him, but his arms were clasped around Mocha's body. They knelt in the snow and felt his heart, then looked up at me and said, "Your lad has joined her, sir." Blinded by grief and remorse, I tottered towards them, but the snow fell now in furious torrents, walling them from me. The church, the sky, and every object by which I was surrounded were blotted out by my tears and overcome by terror and horror of time and the scene. I fell to the ground in a swoon. When I opened my eyes again and raised myself in a recumbent posture, I found myself in the chamber to which I had retired after I had kissed the cold, white lips of my baby boy. My wife was sleeping calmly and peacefully, and as I gazed at her with the sweet face of our baby girl, which lay within the shelter of her arm, I clasped my hands in thankfulness and knelt by their bedside in great and silent prayer. Then, awestruck, I crept from the chamber into the room in which our dear Charlie lay. The flowers of love and remembrance were scattered over his lovely form, and on his breast were the flowers which had been gathered in the country by his younger brother. Oh God, I thank thee. 2 days afterward, Mocha stood with me by the side of our dear lad's grave. Her tears fell upon the earth as she mourned. Poor Charlie, poor Charlie. She accompanied me home and will remain with us. She accompanied me home and will remain with us, even as one of our own. If she lives, she will grow into a pure woman in remembrance of Charlie. The end. So that is the end of A Christmas Angel, a Victorian Christmas story full of ghosts and mystery. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure, if you haven't, check out the first 3 books on my live. I will link it in the description. And for other stories during my Christmas season, please go to and for more Christmas stories, probably more traditional that we're used to, please go to and for more Christmas stories during the season or anytime, go on over to my playlist of Christmas stories. Thank you for spending some time with Fabulous Nuts ASMR. Merry Christmas.